Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and in today's video I'm going to share with you guys my Game Week 12 transfer plans. So as usual, we'll go through how I did for Game Week 11 and then I'll talk through a couple of transfer combinations that I'm looking at for Game Week 12. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, please do drop a like, please do subscribe as well. And talking about Game Week 11 here, I scored a total of 62 points. I'm very pleased with how Game Week 11 turned out. I halved my rank with a huge green arrow from 1.4 million all the way to 734k in the world. So I'm very pleased to be firmly in the top 1 million now. Hopefully we can keep this momentum up. Now, I was on the bench boost for Game Week 11. And if you look at the scores on the bench, it's not exactly very good. It's 2 points for Dubravka, 2 points for Caicedo, 2 points for Senesi, and 1 for Rodon. Overall, I only got an extra 7 points, but I view it in a different light. Now, going into Game Week 11, there was always a chance that I would either bench Boltemade or Thiago because Caicedo was playing Wolves, and I was quite keen on starting Caicedo ahead of either one of those forwards there. In the end, I just left it as it is. I left the two forwards in the starting 11 because I was already activating the bench boost eventually. But I feel like if I had not done so, I could have started Caicedo ahead of either of them, and then the bench would have looked different, right? The scores would have been much higher. If I bench Boltemade in the end, I would have an extra, 3 points there because he got 5. And if it's Thiago, then it obviously looks even better. So I don't view the bench boost per se as a bad, decision that I made in Game Week 11. I did obviously consider a lot of different factors as well, such as my transfers for Game Week 12, which again I will share later on. But it allows me then, with the bench boost out of the way now, to just be free to make kind of different moves, downgrade certain spots if I need to. In the future, I can have dead spots in my team because I don't have to factor in the bench boost anymore. So it is done. The bench boost is now out of the way, and I have 62 points here. The total points that I'm on right now is 660. I know some of you guys have already broken the 700 point mark, which is absolutely incredible. So let me know in the comments down below if you are one of those guys. You're probably kind of in the top 50k as well. So let me know at this point, where are you in terms of an overall rank, and where do you want to end the season? Now, looking at my Game Week 11 players, or the starting 11 per se, with Nick Pope, the way that things turned out could not have been any better for my team in terms of FPL points. Now, I was watching the game in real time, and Thiago was about to take the penalty against Nick Pope. But just before that happens, Nick Pope gets substituted off for a concussion substitution. Now, if Nick Pope was on the pitch and Thiago scored the penalty against Nick Pope, then basically Pope would have gotten 1 point docked off of him because he would have conceded 2 goals. But because he was substituted off, he only is recorded as conceding 1 goal, and therefore he does not get the extra point docked off. And not only that, he also made 3 saves while he was on the pitch. So he ends up with 3 points, and it's essentially the best outcome in that few 5 minutes that I was watching the game. So honestly, one of the best outcomes for Game Week 11 for me. Now, on Nick Pope and his concussion substitution, I have full confidence that he will be back in Game Week 12 because he has plenty of days to rest. Eddie Howe has also said that he's not actually injured, it's just a precautionary concussion substitution. So I think he'll be back for Game Week 12, so I'm not too worried about that. In defense, Timber 1 point, Gabriel 1 point. Arsenal finally concede after 8 games in all competitions, keeping clean sheets. It's an insane run, but it had to come to an end somehow, and they conceded 2 goals against Sunderland. So 1 point each for Gabriel and Timber. Timber has been very, very disappointing, and I do have plans to move him out, so I'll show you guys again later on. As for Munoz, 6 points for him. He's not kind of picking our attacking returns yet, but I think that will start to come as the fixtures get easier. He does have Wolves in Game Week 12. Eventually, he will also play Burnley in the later weeks around Game Week 14 or Game Week 15. So I'm not too fussed about him kind of not getting attacking returns, but I do hope that that will come. In midfield, Ismail Assar 3 points. He actually had 2 big chances against Brighton. Rather unlucky not to score. Talking about unlucky, Enzo Fernandez has had 13 attempts on goal, since his last attacking return. Now that is truly quite unlucky. I actually think that Enzo Fernandez against Wolves was going to get something. If you watched the game, you would have thought that Enzo Fernandez would have gotten some points, but he again walks away with a blank, so 3 points there, 1 extra for the clean sheet. Antoine Semenyo obviously missed the penalty against Aston Villa, so 0 points from him. He's one of the 2 players in my team that missed the penalty. Erling Haaland was the other one, but we'll speak about him later on. Now, initially when I started the Game Week 11 deadline stream, Saka was my captain, but over time, during the stream, I kind of switched to Haaland. In hindsight as well, when I look at it, I'm not too unhappy with the decision because Haaland actually missed a penalty. Had he scored the penalty against Liverpool, he would have gotten so much more points because that would have been 2 goals. I would think bonus for him as well. But yeah, it is what it is. He missed the penalty, as did Semenyo. And yeah, he only is on 4 points. I put the captain's armband on him, and that's why he's on 8. As for the 2 forwards, Voltemade as well as Thiago, very pleased with them. Voltemade finally picking up an attacking return after blanking in his last 2 games. I'll speak about him as we go along. There's a transfer route that I could choose to keep him. There's also a transfer route that I immediately sell him now in Game Week 12. So that's for later. As for Thiago, he is the star of my Game Week 11 team. Now, I brought him in last week, and at that point, I was also considering whether to bring Mateta in or not. I was also looking at Danny Welbeck. So lots of combinations, but in the end, I went with Thiago. He didn't return immediately in Game Week 10, but boy did he return in Game Week 11 with 2 goals against Newcastle and also 3 bonus points. So I'm very pleased with his performance. He will also soon have Burnley coming up. And the point of going for Thiago was always that he had good rotations with my 8th attacker, who's Caicedo currently. So again, I'll show you guys the rotation later on, but this was how I did for Game Week 11. Very pleased with where I'm at. Let me know how you guys got on as well, and let's have a look at my transfer plans. So this is my team on the FPL.team transfer planner, and I want to show you guys a couple of transfer moves that I've mapped out. So I have 2 free transfers and I have 0.4 million in the bank. Now, before Game Week 11, I had already mapped out a couple of transfers. It firstly involves selling Jurrien Timber and going for Joachim Andersen. Now, Joachim Andersen does have a good few set of fixtures that rotates quite well with my other main defenders that I want to start, such as Munoz, Gabriel, as well as Senesi. So here's Sunderland here in Game Week 12. As I'll go on later on, you'll also see that I can actually play him against teams like Crystal Palace, Burnley, Forest, etc. So he does have decent rotation, and I'd like him for DEFCON potential as well. The only thing that is at the back of my mind is that there's been some rumors that Marco Silva may be in some form of a situation with the owners of Fulham because his results just have not been really good, right? So we'll see what happens there. I'll monitor the situation over the international break, but I still am pretty keen on going for Joachim Andersen regardless. So he's in here for Jurrien Timber. Now, selling Timber doesn't mean that I go without double Arsenal defense all the way. I will eventually do Pope to Raya later on in Game Week 14. I'll show you when that comes around. But after doing this Anderson move, I will have 1.8 million in the bank, and this is where I have to make my second decision. And this second decision is really where the different routes come into play. The first route is going for Mateta. So I would sell Voltemade and I'll go for Mateta here. It leaves me an extra 1.1 in the bank for future transfers, but it also gives me Mateta against Wolves. So how would I set up this week? It depends whether Enzo Fernandez is going to be fit to play against Burnley or not. If he isn't, then I can very well just start Caicedo here. I'm quite keen on starting Senesi against West Ham as well. I could just bench Joachim Andersen against Sunderland, leave him first bench because Sunderland are pretty good, right? But I still want Joachim Andersen, so he could be here on the bench. Now that's for Game Week 12, 2 transfers used, and I'll have 1.1 million in the bank. Going into Game Week 13 now, the plan for this week is actually to do Enzo Fernandez. So I'll bring Enzo back into the team. Enzo Fernandez to Dominic Szoboszlai. Now, I will have to monitor the Szoboszlai situation because he's currently on 4 yellow cards, so he's 1 away from suspension. If he is suspended, I obviously would not bring him in, but for now, he is the Liverpool attacker that I prefer the most. He has many different routes to points. He takes majority of the set pieces. when he plays centrally, which I think he will moving forward, he does get a lot of opportunities that falls to his feet. The positions that he takes up is just very, very promising. He's also much better for minutes as compared to Gakpo, and much cheaper than Salah as well. So I like Szoboszlai, if obviously I'm able to go for him if he's not suspended. So the plan is to go for him in Game Week 13 in place of Enzo Fernandez. Moving over to Game Week 14 now, this is when the plan is to do Nick Pope to David Raya. So I will get back my double Arsenal defense again. I'll drop Thiago down to the bench this week likely. And I'll probably, start Caicedo against Leeds. Joachim Anderson this week has Man City, so it's perfectly fine to just bench Joachim Anderson. I could choose to start, Thiago, but he has Arsenal, so I probably just would leave him first on the bench. But yeah, this is what it is for Game Week 14. One transfer used, 0.4 million left in the bank. Come to Game Week 15, I will have one free transfer, but no real plans for it yet. I'm keeping it flexible in case I get any injuries. But if not, I want to have expanded this one free transfer by the time Game Week 15 comes around, so that when I get to Game Week 16, the 5 free transfers from AFCON comes in, and just nice, I'll get all 5 of them to use. Simply because if you're in Game Week 15 and you don't use your free transfers, you will still get all 5. You get topped up to 5, but essentially you have lost out on transfers that you could have made. So it's going to be a case where I think reaching Game Week 15, there will be some people who've carried transfers all the way until then, but have no real good use for it. And potentially you're just wasting getting the 5 free transfers. So it's something that is at the back of my mind for this second route of transfers that I'm going to show you guys. So I'm going to reset everything. I'm kind of going to click the reset button here. And I'm going to go all the way back to Game Week 12. Yes, so Game Week 12. Again, 2 free transfers, 0.4 million in the bank. Timber out to Anderson is still the move. But this time, I'm going to sell Enzo Fernandez, even though he plays Burnley. And the plan is to bring Brian Mbeumo. Now, I really like Mbeumo. I don't think a lot of people will be going for him. Some of them are put off by the AFCON situation, but what we're hearing from Manchester United is that they're going to appeal for him to stay with the Manchester United team all the way until the Aston Villa fixture, which is when the African Cup of Nations starts, but Cameroon will not be playing on that day, and he would probably then leave after the Aston Villa game to join with the Cameroon national team. So essentially, if you bring him in now in Game Week 12, you get him for this whole run of fixtures, of which there are some really, really good ones like West Ham and Wolves, and yeah, I can just about afford it. Just about afford it because I have no money left in the bank. So this is one set of transfers I could go with. Players that I was likely having my starting 11 this week is probably Caicedo against Burnley. I probably do Senesi in for Anderson as well. And this is likely what I do for Game Week 12, right? But the thing about this transfer route, even though I really like Mbeumo, is that I don't have good use of my transfers moving forward. Now, I'll show you in Game Week 13 now. I have 0.0 again in the bank and 1 free transfer, but I don't really need to use my transfers, right? I can just simply play the players that I already have. The fixtures are pretty good, right? As you guys can see in the starting 11, I come over to Game Week 14 now, and it's again a situation where I don't really need to use transfers. I can bench Thiago here, and this is the rotation that I've been talking about. Caicedo and as well as Thiago rotating quite well, but I don't have to make any real transfers, and it's not a bad thing again. But I will have a lot of transfers by the time Game Week 15 comes around. I have 3 free transfers and no real good place to use it. And by the time Game Week 16 comes around, I'll have 5, but I've essentially only gotten 2 more. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to make my decision based on how I can maximize my transfers, because at the end of the day, I want FPL points. So I'm still going to make my decision based on whether I think, going back to Game Week 12, based on whether going for Mbeumo or going for Mateta in place of Voltemada is going to get me more points over the course of however long I'm going to have this player. So that will be my decision point. The thing about Mateta is that it would save me a transfer later down the line, because Mateta will not be going to the African Cup of Nations. He plays for France, but Mbeumo will eventually go, and that is a transfer that I have to make. So if not, I also have to weigh up the different fixtures that these 2 players have and who I think will score more points over that run, because for sure, whoever I bring in, whether it's Mbeumo or Mateta, I will start every single week. So we'll see what happens there, but that's really the two routes that I'm looking at. Let me know what you guys think of my Game Week 12 transfer plans and which route you would go for, and also which players you are considering as well. Let me know all of it in the comments down below. I hope you guys are having a good international break. FPL will be back soon. But for now, enjoy the rest of the break, and I'll see you guys in more Game Week 12 content coming very, very soon. Bye-bye.